Hi guys, my name is Ellis Sims and I'm running for Union President. Today is the first day of my 3-day video blog series on the 3 main points of my campaign: cheaper, simpler and smarter. Today's cheaper. I asked you yesterday to comment and send in emails and tweets as to what you would like to see be made cheaper if I was President. Today we have Evan White asking about sports, Jenny Fletcher asking about Sport Rec, Ben McMyler asking about student fees and where it goes and how you put it more to the students. Jenny Fletcher again asking about performing arts. Bryony Samuel regarding food and drink, and Kate Williams regarding simpler funding for clubs and societies. So some interesting things here. First I'll start with Evan White, who I believe is running for VP Sports as well. Also naturally his questions about sports. He asked, he simply just said sport, and he later said, as President, as Union President, it's also responsible for me, naturally because I'm in charge of the budget and the trustee board, that to put forward, to help with the budget is obviously necessary for, I would assume, his plans for sport. So, sport, yes, basically, under my plan in my manifesto, I will use roughly between £20,000 to £30,000 as a stimulus to bring down prices of certain goods and services at university, including sport. I believe sport's become far too expensive at uni, and also, but that's intramural and AU. I believe it's become it's just unnecessarily expensive, and as we're running up surpluses every single year, it makes no sense as to why we're not using that surplus to make lives easier on students. So, yes, Evan, to make sports cheaper, the best way to do it would be to obviously use that stimulus to assist clubs and societies, both AU and intramural, in bringing down the cost of their membership by helping them when it comes to purchasing equipment and purchasing uniform. I also think there needs to be a fairer allocation of funds, as some societies can get a massive amount of money disproportionate to the membership, whereas another society which has the same amount of members gets not an equal amount of funding. So I'll come on to that later in regards to the sport rec and the performing arts question. But basically, the introduction of more block grants without having a societies committee and an EU committee, your funding I think is going to help that. Basically, instead of asking for all your funding via societies committees, AU committee, you're given your funding, half of it on a per capita basis, depending on the members over a 3-year period. Obviously, because over the years the membership will fluctuate, so you get the average, and per person you attribute a number to it, so several pounds, and then determined by that average number, you add 20% to that to kind of give a buffer, and that amount of money. So, if we say if it was 100 people and the per capita kind of money we're putting towards it was £1, it would be £100. So it's 100 members, £100, and plus 20%, so it'd be £120. So £120 you get at the beginning of the year, straight away, no questions asked, from a SUSU account, and by doing so, you're giving societies a lot easier access to money and a far fairer form of doing it. But obviously it'd be up to the VP Sports Development to determine how they're going to spend that money. I'm only here to help. So thank you for that one, Evan. Jenny Fletcher regarding Sport Rec. How do you bring down the price of Sport Rec and make it more affordable? I think Sport Rec's pretty affordable as it is, for £120 for a whole year. But obviously a lot of people have, they want obviously to be split into different chunks, so quarterly membership, monthly membership, which I totally agree with. It's a big thing people have been speaking about for quite a while now. And I fully support that. I fully support the fact we should have a structured membership system of Sport Rec. And also for members who don't strictly want to join the gym, who want to take part in intramural sports, I think there should be an intramural only option to join. Again, because I think Sport Rec's a fantastic thing, it's cheap enough already, but I believe the problem comes down to if you're halfway through the year, you don't want to spend all your money for a year's membership, you want to spend it for how much you're going to use, which is completely reasonable. I can't see why that can't be done. So yeah, Jenny, so the questions to that would be to separate the payment methods. So thank you for that one, Jenny. Ben McMyler. So this was quite wordy. putting the money, how do I assure my money goes back, how do I assure my student fees go back to the student as opposed to being given back to the higher ups? I agree, totally. Your student fees, again, come under this idea of the university gets your fees and it gives a portion of those fees to the union. And the union, as a result, uses part of that money, as well as its commercial activities, to provide goods and services for students at the union. That's including AU membership and sport club membership, and obviously food and drink. I believe your surplus, the surplus I spoke about earlier, again, instead of being used for financial security, because again, we have a £1 million in reserve already, plus £150,000 used this year as a surplus. I propose £20,000 to £30,000 to use that money to bring down the prices of goods and services across the university. That way, you're making sure the money you're paying in fees, more of that's going to be used to help your student experience at university. So instead of it going again up to the higher ups and the bureaucracy, it's going straight back down to the student, making the student experience far better and far cheaper as a result. And you're saying about how to make it the bureaucracy, that kind of comes under the simpler thing as well, which I'll talk about tomorrow. That idea that when it comes to payment of things, there shouldn't be so much of it going towards unnecessary bureaucracy. Again, it should come straight back down to the students, but again, I'll explain more about that tomorrow. So thank you for that one, Ben. Jenny Fletcher again, asked about performing arts. Sometimes we're constrained about the shows we can put on. If we have more money, we can put on more and more shows. Yeah, cool, lovely. Well, again, it kind of comes back down to the idea of using that stimulus. Again, the cheaper kind of message are kind of constructed from that idea that we have so much spare cash, and that's not even including the reserves, that's just our current year surplus we can use to invest straight back into our clubs and societies. I agree, same thing similar to what Evan said regarding sport. Performing arts needs an equal amount of funding for societies. It needs a block grant to be given to it at the beginning of the year. So again, Societies Committee doesn't decide completely what you can spend your money on. Half your money will be given to you per capita income, so you can decide what you want to spend that on. So you have more freedom in regards to how you raise your money. You'll have more money at the beginning of the year, so you won't have to wait until you start events, and you won't have to wait until Societies Committee comes together and decides what money you can have. You can, at the beginning of the year, you'll have that money to use, and you can use that whichever way you want, and hopefully you use it right. You would use it towards, bringing back better shows and funding. Again, because the idea at the end of the day is it's not our money to spend, it's the money you should be getting so you can make a better experience for your society and for the people in it. So thank you very much, Jenny. Bryony Samuel. Food, £1.60 for a coffee in the library. Lots of people, lots and lots of people have said about this. If there's been anything more popular in regards to this cheaper mantra, it's this idea that food and drink across the university is far too expensive. My friend was saying the other day how at Nottingham and Sheffield, the union is so much more accommodated towards student costs, whereas here the prices can be only really competitive with the high street. And obviously as students, we live on such a lower income than normal working people. We need basically budgets and products to suit our wages, which is next to none. So in regards to food, £1.60 for coffee is way too much. It would be way too much anywhere, it's ridiculous. But for students, actually brought right back down. Food in the Sluice shop, food in the Bridge Bar, again, prices need to be brought down. At the end of the day, the Bridge makes so much more money now because it's been refurbished, that's fantastic. But at the same time, the prices of goods and services have gone up. So again, using that surplus to bring down the prices, and not only in just SUSU facilities, but using it again in university establishments. Don't think, because this is part of the university, we can do nothing about it. That's not true. The union and university have a very close relationship, and the university are very open to looking at how we can accommodate price increases and decreases. And for food, and I'll extend this to drink as well, there's literally no need for prices to be that high if we have that much of a surplus going on. It's quite easy to use that money to bring down prices. So again, Bryony, thanks for that one. And again, to bring down the food, it's a case of simply giving that money to catering. We work it out between us what products need to be brought down in price, depending on demand. we'll use the money we have allocated, and we will use that to use that to give that to catering, which in turn will use it to bring down the purchase cost of items when you go to buy them. So the price of goods won't so much change. It'll be the case of we'll be using that surplus money to almost part pay for it for you. So when you go to pay for it, it's a lot cheaper. So instead of being £1.60, we've allocated a certain amount of money to catering. They use that money to pay for the products anyway, so it's part paid for you. So instead of being £1.60, say, it'll be 50p. So hopefully that explains it a bit more, Bryony. And lastly, Kate Williams, again another VP sports candidate, asking about, again another sports question, but because I spoke about sports already, she said about simpler funding for sports clubs, and extended to sports clubs and societies in general. Yeah, I agree. Again, comes back to that idea of there's no need for you to apply for every ounce of your funding through committees, or having to create the money always from scratch, from events, and from having to charge your members again and again and again. For example, take the Vixens cheerleading team. They recently had to pay for all their uniform, they had to pay membership again, they had to pay membership to go to venues, and now they have to pay membership to train in other facilities because there's no room here. Again, I'll come on to that in the next 2 days about facilities and bureaucracy. But it's absurd. If you're a Susu team and you're an AU team, why are you not being facilitated for your troubles? For trying to, you created something here for us, and there's no need for you to go without if there's, again, so much of a surplus. I know I keep reiterating it, but it's the point I want to try and make. Simpler funding, yeah, exactly. Straight at the beginning of the year, same thing. You get a grant, you get your money. Half your money comes straight to you, per capita basis. There it is. You can spend on what you like, whether it's subsidising travel. And you said about minibuses here as well. £150 for 3 days is ridiculous. You can wipe out a lot of society's budgets. I mean, Fish on Toast's budget's £150 for the year. They would not be able to do this. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, minibus prices need to be brought down big time. And again, it's not hard. All it needs to be done is simpler funding through the grant system by giving it to societies without having to do AU. And again, it kind of reiterates my point throughout. So, thank you guys for the questions. We'll be back tomorrow with simpler as our topic. So bring all your questions onto our Vote Ellis Simpson Union President page. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.